I want you to imagine you're in a large ship at sea, and there's a storm, and you look out your porthole and you can't see anything, and you feel the ship being buffeted by large waves. This is what it feels like to read through a symphony like Scriabin's Third, the Divine Poem. We're talking about Alexander Scriabin and his creation of this Third Symphony, which is a tone poem. Now, there's a reason it's called a tone poem and not a tone story or a tone something else. When we talk about poems, we talk about metaphors. And when we talk about tone poems, we talk about the language of music being used to express real things.
Also das Scriabin hat als Nietzscheaner begonnen, und zwar seine Idee war, dass der Mensch die Gottheit in sich trägt. Man soll sich nach seiner Meinung lösen von einer Gottheit in Person, ob Jesus oder Allah oder Jahwe, und seine eigene Gottheit in sich entdecken und bewusst werden, dieser göttliche Ursprung, der in einem liegt. Ja? Und also es kommt von Nietzsche und dann endet bei ihm auf Ufern des Ganges, ja, wo er dachte, dass durch seine Musik, dass die Menschheit Reinkarnation erfährt, und also es war wirklich, also viele glauben, er ist Genie, andere glaubten, er ist totaler Spinner, ja, also damals. Also es war, aber auf jeden Fall, daraus ist eine geniale Musik entstanden.
Now, what is the God in all of us? Well, it's creation, it's freedom, it's peace, and it's a feeling of oneness with the universe. Scriabin had a mission with this symphony, and his mission was none less than to create a transformation in all of us, where we begin the symphony in the first movement in the state of struggle, in the second movement in the state of pleasure, voluptuousness, which is a way of opening borders and opening parts of our soul. And then in the third movement, we become the divine. The divine poem is realized.
Das sind ganz präzise Spielanweisungen für Sie. Ja? Das ist ganz, ganz wichtig. Hier steht also mit Schrecken, also irgendwie so verängstigt. Ja, und deswegen hier ist es bei Streicher subito pianissimo, noch nicht beim Bläser, aber muss sich da was schon verändern. Plötzlich, ich glaube, diese tragische Angst, was hier steht, ja, das ist alles verängstigt und total unsicher, so nach dem Ausweg suchend.
So it's a story of apotheosis. Apotheosis is a Greek word, and it means to be deified. So it's about finding the divinity inside of each person and inside of yourself.
Das ist so Höchstzweifel, ja, dieses Ta-ta-ta-ta, das ist Hauptmotiv, ich bin, ja, und jetzt gestopft. Also, bin ich?
So, what are the things then that a conductor can do to bring us into focus with one another as fast as possible? And one thing that Maestro Petrenko is very, very careful about is dynamics. And the sort of thing where, out of sympathy, if I hear someone playing loudly, a fortissimo, for instance, I'm going to want to play loudly too, just because it's fun, just because that's what we do, because I want to play with them. But it might say in my part, piano. So we have to have the discipline to play the dynamics that are in our part, not to be influenced by other voices.
Es geht die verschiedenen dynamischen Stufen. Das soll jede Linie soll auf eine eigene dynamische Stufe sein. Dann hört man alle Linien. Ja? Also ein bisschen wichtig ist das Horn 2 und 4, aber weniger wichtig als Cello. Alles andere ist noch weniger wichtig.
In the second movement, there's a section where I believe we have gone to something like the Elysian Fields, where an exquisite concertmaster solo, played by Daishin, is quite exquisite the way he plays also, but it's written in an exquisite, romantic fashion. We hear the sounds of the harp, we hear even small little xylophone notes hanging there in the air, and beautiful singing birds from piccolo and flute. And it's just the most incredible experience of a pastoral perfection. So we have reached heaven through the feelings of voluptuousness in the music. And in fact, Scriabin calls the movement voluptuousness, volupté. And so the use of this voluptuousness is a way to bring our spirit through an adolescence and bring it to a maturity so that when we reach the third movement, we can really begin to climb into a spiritual way to the goal of Scriabin, which is to become self-deified. If I had to single out one moment of the symphony that I think is really, really exceptional, kind of like a favorite, it would be in the last movement, in the third movement, at the beginning of the coda. And at this moment, we've heard all of the material from the three movements. We've gone through multiple iterations of each theme. We have the deification process is pretty much completed. What happens is Scriabin brings it all together. And the way he does that is incredibly interesting. He starts after a very loud passage with a reiteration of the lute, the theme. But this theme, he doesn't allow to go to its full length. He sort of cuts it off after a few bars in kind of a way that makes us feel insecure. Like, what was that struggle? And then what comes is incredibly surprising. A quotation of Wagner Meistersinger. The opening chord of the Meistersinger overture, this huge C major, with the very orchestration that Wagner uses, he quotes for about half a bar. It's Meistersinger, and it's incredible. It shouldn't be there, but it's there. It's an extraordinary moment, and that just kind of blows me away. And then we come to the deification theme again from the first bars of the symphony. And then we come to a quotation from the second movement, the voluptuousness. And then he ties it all together with this huge dominant seventh passage where the strings are playing in quintuplets. And the whole thing comes to a conclusion with the gossamer drapes coming back down in the strings, the stars falling from the sky, and then we come to a feeling of complete peace, sort of the peace of release. When we have such a complex work with these three movements, the struggle, the voluptuousness, the deification, I think it's incredibly important to try to see the big picture, beginning in D flat major with the deification, and then we end in C major with the same theme being quoted just before the end. And we end really in a solid C major, which if you think about the keys, all the possible keys, from D flat major, which is a very complex key, to the most simple of all, the C major, then we have arrived at a moment of simplicity or a moment of concord. This gives us a feeling of release and a feeling of open spaciousness within ourselves to create and even possibly reinvent ourselves.